Log 1, October 4th, 2037, 0612. Miranda Vale speaking, neurosurgeon aboard Baikal Station. If anyone ever finds this rattling tin can, know this. Life in orbit is a treat, until the hull gets kissed by meteorites. Last night, they lit up the sky and shredded Baikal worse than a moth-eaten quilt. The auto system threw me into the Soyuz escape pod, slammed the hatch, and that was it. Goodbye, station. Hello, personal coffin. The capsule spins slowly to create artificial gravity, about 0.8 g. Handy for a surgeon. Steady hands, predictable blood flow. Problem is, that same 0.8 g will burn through every calorie I've got within a week. I've taken inventory. Food, 3 bricks of plain oat paste, and 6 tubes of Nutrigel. Water, 5 bottles of distilled, just 100 milliliters each. Laughable. Med case class, CB. Scalpels, micro laser, suture printer, lidocaine, tourniquets. The radio's dead, just a faint drowning SOS from Baikal. The capsule's orbit is decaying, slowly drifting toward the sun. By my math, if I do nothing, I've got 10 days before I'm cremated in the heliosphere. So here's the brutal plan. First, use less energy, speak quietly, breathe slow, move like a snail. Second, harvest water from radiator condensation, then hook myself to a saline drip. It tricks the thirst. And third, the third part I'm saying out loud to stop fearing the thought itself. Once the rations run out, I'll have to tap into my bio-resource, me. There are 2 to 3 kilos of fat on my thigh. 1 kilo is nearly 8,000 kilocalories. That's a week of life, if I dry it out and chew in small doses. The laser scalpel makes clean cuts. The suture printer seals vessels. I've got anesthetic. 0 g would make it harder, but at 0.8 g, it's technically doable. Yeah, I know how it sounds, but I'm a surgeon, trained to treat the body as material. And if this material is my only supply, then there's no choice. The only real question, will I have the cold blood to turn the blade on myself? For now, I'm sticking to the 48-hour rule. First 2 days, ration only, water in sips. In that time, I'll try to rig the solar panels. Maybe I can revive a couple cells and power the medcase's mini freezer. At -40, fat gets brittle, easy to break like crackers. Food in stasis. Dark humor, I guess. My injuries are minor. Bruised elbow, a rib contusion, but my head's clear. The main thing, don't sleep in the chair. With this gravity, legs will swell. I strapped myself upright to the bulkhead, head up. I'll nap in short cycles. Out the viewport, the planet glows. A blue-white crescent. It's so beautiful it makes me want to believe this ends with a lucky landing. Maybe I'll walk Hector in the park again back in Austin. He's 5, a corgi, loves chewing dead leaves. Wonder what the vet will say if I come home missing a few parts of myself? Okay. Save file, kill Mike, conserve electrons. First test sleep coming up. Hunger's already scratching at me, like a mouse in an empty stomach. Tomorrow, I'll watch the Orionid meteor shower. One last free fireworks show, just for me. And the day after, maybe I pick up the scalpel. Log 2, October 6th, 2037, 2104. I spent 2 days breathing like a yogi, short, nearly silent breaths, but the rations are gone. My stomach growled so loud in this tiny capsule it echoed like a pump working overtime. I opened the med case and picked a spot on my thigh, closer to the outer side. Thick layer of fat, minimal major vessels. I numbed it with lidocaine, tied a tourniquet, and fired up the laser. At 0.8 g, blood flows slowly downward, so the cut barely bled. The smell, sweet, like warmed walnuts. I sliced off a palm-sized flap and stuck it into the shadow of a solar panel. It's 90-degree Celsius outside, so the fat turned gray instantly, like soap, and cracked apart. I melted half on a spoon and swallowed it. Tasted like burned oil, but it cleared my head. I've got just over 200 grams left. The idea that I'm now my own fridge doesn't feel crazy anymore, just a practical engineering detail. After the procedure, I only had 30 milliliters of water left. Not even worth washing my hands, so I just scraped the dried blood off. Vacuum sterilizes everything. The station's gone silent, and the beacon's signal is fading. Twice tonight I caught myself talking to a photo of my dog. It's okay. Hector's keeping me sane the best he can. Log 3, October 9th, 2037, so 2:47. Hunger's biting again. Holding the scalpel with my left hand is awkward. It's weaker after the last cut, but my right arm's still intact. I decided to go for the outer forearm. Thinner meat, less blood loss. Tourniquet. Freezing laser sting. The blade slid through easily. The muscle dropped into a plastic tray. Pain, like dunking your hand in boiling water and yanking it back. I sealed it with the printer, but then gravity shifted. Capsule jerked and blood sprayed upward like a fountain. Had to cauterize the vessels with a second zap. Lost maybe 50 milliliters. Got lightheaded. Crawled to the wall. Lay back. Did the math. Minus 50 mmol blood, plus 180 grams of protein. Not the worst trade. The Orionids are still flaring, now with a turquoise edge. At first I thought it was hypoxia hallucination, but the O2 sensor reads 19%, so the stars are real. Maybe fragments of the hull are burning off with copper? I'll check, if I make it back. Log 4, October 11th, 2037, 04:19. I haven't slept in 2 days. Every time I nod off, I see a violet garden and my dog chewing on my own muscles instead of sticks. I wake up gnawing on my glove. Found a gray-green film on the fat container. Mold. Surviving on 0 humidity. Feeding on what I've been drying. I scraped off half, mixed it with a drop of blood, and made a yeast cracker the size of a coin. Bitter, but my stomach said thank you. The laser's dying. Next up was a buttock procedure. 2 thin strips of fat, about 70 grams each. Cut with a manual scalpel. Shock pain, but it kicked my system back online. Minor blood loss, but I gained 1,000 calories. Water's a problem. I only managed to collect a handful of frost per day. Thirst hits harder than hunger. I'm squeezing sweat straight into test tubes. Trophic fluid collection, as I like to call it. The axis wobble is getting worse. When gravity weakens, blood surges into my head and rings like a bell. Blue sparks again, but now they're inside my vision, not out the window. Probably pressure on the optic nerve. If the porthole cracks from heat stress, it's over. I rigged a leftover ice pack against the glass, strapped the container on, like a cold compress, still holding. I used to apply cryomasks to patients. Now I'm the one enduring it, just to keep the glass from splintering. Log 5, October 13th, 2037, 23:58. I woke to a dull impact. The capsule jolted, and suddenly the floor was the ceiling. The gyroscope showed an 18-degree axis drift. Now, every 6 seconds, I'm either standing or nearly floating. During one of the sharper drops, my last incision tore open, and blood poured out again. I activated the printer, but my hand was shaking. Panic hit me harder than I'd like to admit. I was staggering like a zombie. Decided not to wait for my body to cannibalize itself, and went for the pork ribs. The intercostal muscles between the 9th and 10th ribs. When you cut them, it hisses, like popping a balloon. 2 strips, 70 grams each. I ate one immediately. Tasted like smoked something, but it kicked my system back into gear. While bandaging up, I felt my own pulse pounding in my ears, louder than any ambient sound. To drown it out, I turned on a recording of rain. Burns power, but without it, I'll lose it. The pulse feels like a countdown. Now, every 6 seconds, we fall and climb. I can feel the bones in my skull rattling. If the axis drifts past 20 degrees, the capsule will tumble into a full spin. I'm considering ejecting some parts to reduce mass, maybe soften the centrifugal torque. Water reserves are under 100 milliliters. Condensation's getting worse, and I'm losing moisture faster than I can collect it. The azure stars appeared again last night, but this time I know it's not hypoxia. It's the hull, fracturing, sending tiny blue flares through still active micrometeor fields. Beautiful. If I burn up, it'll be brighter than any firework, saving the log. The pain in my side is dull, but manageable. If I can't stabilize the axis tomorrow, I'll have to cut into the abdomen, thickest fat layer there. Funny. I'm dancing around my heart, and it's still beating. Good engine. I hope it's not the final cut. Log 6, October 16th, 2037, 05:11. For the first time in 6 days, I managed real sleep. Only 40 minutes, but still. I dozed off with my left arm strapped to a handrail. During the next tumble, it would have pulled on the muscle and torn the stitch. I woke up to the strap, cutting deep into my wrist, my arm numb, alien, like it had been amputated long ago. That sensation gave me an idea. If limbs go numb anyway, under hypoxia and G-shifts, why waste anesthetic? I loosened the strap slightly, then tightened it hard above the elbow. The pain vanished in 3 minutes. I waited another 5 until the skin went cold and gray. Then I took the scalpel. The cut was shallow, skin, some fat, and the outermost layer of muscle along the inner forearm, a strip about 3 centimeters wide. No blood. The arm felt foreign, like it was cybernetic. The slice was barely warm, like carved wax. Once I undid the strap, I sealed it with the printer. Almost no sound, just a soft zzzz. I weighed the cutout with my palm, around 85 grams. Less than I wanted, but safer. I can still hold a blade with my good hand. Sensation is coming back slowly, tingling in the fingertips, like powdered glass. Meanwhile, the axis stabilized. I ran the numbers. Sometime in the night, a second impact hit the capsule on the opposite side of the first. The gyroscope's nearly at 0 again. A gift from the sky, too terrifying to pray for. Water is the true enemy. All night the pumps choked, only managed to collect 11 milliliters of condensate. I improvised, ran a thin copper wire from a panel cable along the bulkhead, one end in the shadow, the other inside a fabric filter. With every heat cycle, the wire pulls vapor to its cold end, where it drips into a cup. 5 milliliters per hour, almost a proper IV. The laser's dead, shows just 7% battery. I'll save it for coagulation if a vein bursts. All future cuts, metal scalpel only. I can sharpen it against the inside of the porthole. The glass is frosted, but it's rough like sandpaper now. More on the stars. The azure flashes are back, now with faint crackling. I touched the glass, heard a hiss like static racing under my fingertips. Is the hull reaching melting point, or is solar wind sandblasting the capsule? If the window cracks, there'll be no stopping the decompression. The lidocaine's gone. I'll have to kill the pain with breath control. I've done it on Earth. It's easier there. Gravity gives you something to push against. Here, every movement feels like a storm inside your skull. Today's goal: freeze the new cut, split it in 2, half for later, half in reserve. The fungus is slowing. Probably needs water too. Only managed to grow a few pea-sized pods. I chewed them with the fat. Tasted awful, but my stomach quietly thanked me. I log all this for the record. My own hand, or rather part of it, is now rations, and already partially reabsorbed into my bloodstream. The capsule's balancing again, as if the universe doesn't want to lose its witness just yet. According to my math, I've got 8 days before I spiral into the sun. That's 8 days of tissue left in me. The heart is the final piece, and it's still beating, even now, as one hand feels light as plywood and the other still grips a scalpel. As long as it beats, I have a plan, and these logs have a listener, even if it's a silent one, saving the file. I'll turn the recorder on again when I find water, or when I'm choosing between a lung and the ribs. Log 7, October 21st, 2037, 12:06. Breaking the silence now. Either this is the final recording, or the beginning of re-entry, if fate's feeling generous. I haven't spoken a word in 5 days. The cabin's turned into a thermos. Oxygen steady at 15%. CO2 creeping like clay, but holding. I've got 20 milliliters of water left, not drinking it, just wetting my lips so my tongue doesn't crack when I say the word end. Today the hull groaned differently. There's a steady fiery roar outside, like giants sanding the capsule with a mile of grit. I check the altimeter. It's alive. That means I'm scraping the atmosphere. G-forces are erratic, but no longer chaotic. The spin is slowing, and the yellow eye of the gyroscope trembles near center. The porthole glass has gone murky orange. Outside, a gale of plasma blazes past, light filtering in like I'm inside a bonfire. The cracking has shifted to a drawn-out howl. The walls vibrate. Every cell in my body knows it. The metal is melting. The fat stuck to the window starts bubbling. The smell, burned ivory, like roasting ancient bone. I press my back to the seat. The straps bite into the scars. I've got more stitches than skin now. My chest drums with the dull thunder of my heart, the only beat left. The azure flashes return, but they're not hallucinations anymore. The superheated air floods the cabin with blue and violet flickers. They dance like the whirling blooms in my dream garden, internal temps rising, 38, then 40, then 43 Celsius. Sweat doesn't have time to evaporate, it just hangs in threads. I swallow it, slow and deliberate, like drinking glass tears. I thought about cutting again, a small slice from the belly, but the scalpel slips from my fingers, and in this heat, blood and sweat look the same. The recorder's LED glows red, battery dying, like everything else. The roar outside dips into a bassy growl. If the hull breaches, I'll be sucked out and flash-cooked in an instant. But maybe, just maybe, I'll decelerate. The capsule could shatter, and one charred piece of me might slam into the ocean. Someone could find the recorder, and wonder what kind of sentences you can cook a life out of. My face is burning, eyelids dry. Blinking hurts, like sand in my eyes. I think about Nike, not the adrenaline shot, but Nike the man who held my hand back on Earth while I gave that lecture. The human body is the perfect set of spare parts. I guess I've proven that. The hum shifts to vibration, then a jolt, like an elevator slamming to the ground between floors. Another jolt, the metal moans low and long, the stitches sizzle, blood pounds. I'm pressed into the seat, barely breathing. It's terror, laced with a hope. If this is the lower atmosphere, I might have a chance. The thunder fades, replaced by a hush, and then, real sound. Rain. For a second or two, I hear the tap of droplets on the outer shell. Still too hot. They hiss on contact. Temperature readout drops. 39. 37. My chest releases a groan of relief, but it's cut off by a sharp whistle. A seal somewhere's cracked. A thin screech, like a nail dragged across glass. Air is leaking. I grab the adrenaline shot. I know. Dying quietly means suffocating. Screaming means more CO2. The whistling intensifies. A cool draft brushes my shoulder. The hull's breached. Pressure will hit zero soon. My fingers find the vein in my neck. I'd saved the adrenaline for hypoxia, but this is hypoxia, just the fast kind. I inject. My heart slams into my throat. My vision flares, brighter than the easier sparks. Through the serpent whistle comes a deep thud, then another. Something breaks. Maybe the last outer layer, or maybe it's the ocean. The noise shifts. Less wind, more heavy thumps. The capsule flips. Belts tear into my skin. Scars rip open. Blood sticks to my suit. Then, silence. Like someone killed the volume. All that's left is the fluttering inside my skull. Air's gone. There's nothing left to swallow the pain. My pulse hammers one final beat. My fingers go cold. The recorder burns its last red ember. I don't know if I'll land in water, forest, or on a mountain. I might burn out a minute after this line, or maybe I'll claw my way out and drink more rain than I ever cried. But as long as this heart's beating, I whisper, I'm not dying for nothing. If you made it all the way to the end, then you're exactly the kind of person I'm looking for. Hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot to me. I hope I can keep bringing you more stories. to make you smile, or maybe to scare you.